Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kaguma Shuri. I'm presenting on behalf of Team Exogen. Let me take you briefly through what Exogen is about. I'd like to introduce you first to Atieno. Atieno is a single mother of 4 who lives in Kibera. She earns less than $3 a day. And with this income, she needs to provide food, clean water, energy, pay rent, and apportion it for school fees for her children every year, every term. With this money, what we're going to primarily look at is her energy source. Let me take you through her options. Her first option is liquid petroleum gas, LPG. This is like the white elephant that no one has ever seen because she can't access it. One, it's very unaffordable, there's frequent shortages, and it's basically just inaccessible to anyone who's earning that type of money in Kenya. Secondly is kerosene. About 44.6% of kerosene users are local urban poor. In addition to this, kerosene, once burnt, produces very fine particles. Once inhaled, causes bronchial problems. Yes? This has basically caused a lot of death. I'd give a small statistic on this point. With the fumes emitted from kerosene burning, it's like giving a child 2 packs of cigarettes to smoke each day. This is the effect that it has on a child when they're sitting with their mother cooking in the kitchen. Thirdly is charcoal. Charcoal is widespreadly used in Kenya. About 82% of the population uses charcoal. Why is charcoal used so widespreadly? Because one, it's available in very small quantities. You can get a really small tin for use on a daily basis. And with her income, that's advantageous. Secondly, it's cheaper than kerosene. Firstly, and secondly, it's cheaper than LPG, which is just not accessible at all. Now, let's assume Atieno uses kerosene. When she uses kerosene, she uses charcoal. When she uses charcoal, she exposes herself to health risks. Charcoal emits soot, carbon monoxide, and other toxic gases. This basically leads to respiratory health diseases. These respiratory health diseases lead to about 1 million deaths of children under 5 in Kenya. This is not any of their fault because they're sitting with their mothers again while she's cooking and waiting for food. This exposes them to these respiratory diseases. Secondly, it has led to deforestation in our country. Kenya has a current 2% forest cover, which is declining at a rate of 0.3%. To bring that a bit home, that's about 12,000 hectares annually lost because of charcoal burning in Kenya. This has led to drought and famine. In last year alone, we had the worst drought in 60 years. This is even before our own independence. What is our solution? Safigas. Now, Safigas is liquefied biomethane, which is packaged in 1 kilo, 6 kilo, and 13 kilo. This is basically targeted at low-income earners who are in the urban areas of Kenya. With this sort of production and with this sort of product, we're targeting in Nairobi, first of all, 577,000 households. But why Safigas? One, Safigas is toxin-free. It's clean. It's an affordable substitute to LPG, the white elephant, and now making it affordable to everyone. Secondly, it's very affordable. It's cheaper than kerosene, cheaper than charcoal, and cheaper than LPG by far. Thirdly, it provides cost savings to the household so that everyone, as elaborated in that table, 2 weeks worth of charcoal and 2 weeks worth of kerosene, these are the savings you would make as an individual, as a household, if you use Safigas instead. Thirdly, it's a value for money product. 1 liter of kerosene burns for 4.5 times. Safigas burns 4.5 times more than 1 liter of kerosene. Secondly, it burns about 14 to 15 times more than charcoal.
My name is Mutisi and I'll take you through the social impact. Now, if Atieno was to buy Safigas instead of charcoal, she would save $205 a whole year. This is basically calculated, on average, Kenyan households use about 2 tins of charcoal a day. Multiply that by the number of days in a year and you get 730 tins. That multiplied by the current price gives you $365. Now, if she were to buy Safigas, she would spend about $160. That's a savings of $205. This money would have been used to improve her living standards by buying better nutrition, improving her healthcare options, and maybe even moving out of the slums into somewhere better. Now, assuming that Safigas she adopts it, it will help reduce acute respiratory infections, low birth weight, other infant mortality, and this will help improve their living standards completely. Now, the money saved will help her buy healthcare, health insurance. Without health insurance, she will spend $68 a year. But with health insurance, she'll only spend $16.8. That's $51 saved. Now, she utilizes 730 tins a year of charcoal. This translates to 0.22 trees per household per year. If you expand that by our target market, that's 115,400 trees that will be saved. This will not only save the trees, but also our water catchment areas. And also, it will reduce carbon emissions by 23,000 tons. Now, I will take you to our competitors. One of them is charcoal dealers, independent charcoal dealers that supply charcoal in neighborhoods. The second is kerosene. They supply this by the liter in neighborhoods once again. And LPG, which is supplied by multinational petroleum companies that control the whole energy industry. Now, I'll take you through our business model. The first step is collection of raw materials, which takes place along the Rift Valley cattle belt, which has 6.2 million heads of cattle. Now, what we do, we collect the manure, take it through a process, and give back the byproduct to the farmers. That will help him improve his yield, and he'll get more crop yield. Crop yield, more income, and he'll be able to save a lot of money in treating the soil for acidity. Now, once we generate the biogas, we will purify it and increase its methane content to a very high standard, which is acceptable for products in our country. The next step is liquefying it and packaging it. Once we liquefy it and package it, we will distribute it in certain retail points, such as kiosks that we will own, independent petrol stations through contractual agreements, and eventually through supermarkets. All these distribution points are within 1 kilometer radius of each other. So this will lead to increased living standards, and hopefully more households can have Kodak moments, such as these. The next part I'll take you through is the revenue model. Our unit costs, profits, and prices are as follows. The profits are quite high. The financial model, our break-even point is at $2 million, which is in the third quarter of the first year. That's after selling 180,000 units approximately. Kagume will take you through risk mitigation.
In coming up with threats to our products, we basically analyzed our value chain and we came up with threats about it. Our first threat we thought was the supply of raw materials. In mitigating against this, we used an existing circle, which is a dairy circle. Most dairy circles in Kenya used to pool milk together for farmers to get a better rate when they sell it to milk companies. Now we're going to use the same dairy circle of farmers that are pooled together and collect their cow dung while pay them at something. We've already signed one contract agreement with Nyala Circle, which is a circle in the belt, and we're already in talks with several others at the moment. Our distribution, we've already identified retail kiosks where we can actually, retail points where we have taken out, we're in discussions about financial leases for over 50-year periods. Those discussions are still ongoing, and we're hoping to conclude them in the near future. Thirdly is the product conversion. Now, converting someone from charcoal and kerosene and LPG to our project would probably be our biggest hurdle. How have we gone about this? We're basically using women self-help groups in the low-income urban areas. Women are the pillar of our society. With this, we convert them and show them the benefits of Safigas for them to take back home, for them to teach the community and transfer all that back to Safigas. With this in mind, we are hopefully using that, and we're already in partners with some self-help groups in Kibera. With this also, we've partnered with microcredit institutions. The microcredit institutions basically offer credit facilities for everyone to use. Thirdly, we are also going to offer subsidies for our product so that anyone can use them when they want to just buy the product. We've also taken out a utility model patent on it. Where we are now, we've already done a product, we've done a pilot of this project. We put up a digester, a purifier, and we've been able to purify gas for on-farm use in one of our farms in Kenya. What the team is. Our team is basically consists of Ian Gashisha Mboga, Wilson Mutisi Nduna, and myself, Kagume. We are all master students with a background in agriculture, as well as having a loving for entrepreneurship. Our board of advisors is our key point because we have individuals who have financial management knowledge, social entrepreneurship background, project management, and biomethane technology. The world is going green, and Africa does not want to be left behind. African problems need African solutions. Thank you.
So excellent presentation. Thank you very much. So I'm trying to do some math that maybe you can help me with. So the average tin is 50 cents, right? And of coal, of charcoal,
yes.
sorry. And then the smallest Safi gas is $20?
$2.4
$2.4,
yes.
okay. So you had said in your presentation and your business plan that one of the reasons why why charcoal is so useful is because they could buy it in very small amounts given the fact that she only makes $3 a day. So have you looked at that issue about, the 50 cents versus the $2.40 and what barrier to entry that's going to be?
Okay. For someone to actually buy a kilogram of Safi gas, that's $2.4. However, if they were to buy charcoal, they would spend up that money in 2.5 days. And a kilogram of Safi gas will last them 2 weeks. So it's for them to actually be educated on the energy sources, the efficiency of the energy sources, and for them to know that if they buy this, it'll last longer than them going for the cheaper option, which is actually more expensive in the long run.
In addition to this, I'd like to say, as I was explaining, but I had to rush through this, is we are in talks with partnering with a microcredit institution. Now, the microcredit institution is offering that subsidy so that you can purchase the first canister and refill it on a constant basis. That's already trying to make it available to the institution, to the low-income household. However, when you say the 50 cents, I need to explain that the 50 cents is per tin. However, for 2 weeks period, they need 50 cents times 2, which is $1, times 14, which is almost more than 5 times double than what we are offering for the same period of energy. I don't know if you can...
I got that.
Okay.
This is a business I've been in for a long time, and it just turns out that that's a tougher nut to crack, to convince people. I mean, that's often why they just buy very, very small amounts. So I just was interested in the ideas that you had come up with to cover that gap. Because the economics are clearly compelling to buy it in larger amounts, and yet we see again and again that the more extreme poor really struggle with that hump.
Okay, also in addition to, let me just add, in addition to that, as part of the company, we want to subsidize for the low income bracket, the 1 kilo, which is the primary source for the low income. So we're going to subsidize the price of the canister, the initial money they have to buy, and subsidize it so that our main goal for the 1 kilogram is the social impact. We want to transfer these people from using all these other basic oil. So we're even willing to take that course as a company on the company financials to make it better, more viable.
And one more point, it's not that they don't want to shift. They would love to shift, but they can't because it's the better options are just not reachable for them. So if you can present them with an energy source that's affordable or slightly within reach, they will go for it. Because there have been so many surveys done on how many mothers that are complaining about energy sources that are affecting them and their families.
By converting people from charcoal to gas, aren't you making them then purchase a cook stove as well? And how do you expect them to finance that? Is there credit available from microfinance institutions? And I think it just compounds the problem Maura brought up of... I think the savings are very compelling. It's the cash flow issue of having that lump sum up front that might be hard.
For you to actually shift from charcoal to Safi gas, there are, for example, the 1 kg cylinders, they have small attachments at the top that you don't necessarily need to buy a stove because that's the stove itself. Just a small attachment, then there's a stand. And they're actually quite affordable in Kenya. You can get the whole set for about $2. Yes.
Also, worth mentioning is that mobile money technology in Kenya has really been uptaken a lot, and the kind of financing you're talking about is using mobile money technology, which is largely used actually by low-income earners in Nairobi and in Kenya as a whole.
Great presentation. Thank you very much. A question, a little bit more color around your social impact quantification. I know you went through an exercise and certainly quantified some tangible numbers in terms of those savings and how they can be put to better use. But what types of just more direct business output indicators can you track in a more real-time manner to help you kind of support those conclusions, or what considerations went into that overall quantification exercise? Sure, just in terms of just more direct output indicators that you're using to, as the sum of your activities, more direct output indicators that you're measuring, beneficiaries served, the target audience that you're trying to reach, and understanding more about, their decision process to actually get you to that final quantification of the healthcare savings and the other quantified measures that you presented.
For example, in actually widespread in Nairobi, you'll find that families cannot afford healthcare in any way, because it's either you buy food or you save up for healthcare for the month. So this is something that, personally I've seen people experience at my neighbors, the house help. So it's something that people actually go through. You can't afford healthcare or food. It's a gamble. You don't know what to use your money for. So once you offer something cheaper out of that whole collection, either cheaper rent or cheaper energy or cheaper food, any of those options create now more money which can be used to now better their lives. So I think that was the basis we're using. Yeah.
And how do you track kind of that behavior change that you're seeking?
The behavior change of
how would this how would be able to track whether the people are actually taking up health insurance or stopping to use charcoal? That's my guessing. Okay. I think
you see, basically they are currently in a situation where they have none of that. So actually our whole company is its whole theme is it's involved in the bringing and improving the quality of life, the low-income urban households. So we'll actually be involved in other ways with them. Like he mentioned, Kagume mentioned, we are beginning by partnering with women's groups. So we'll actually, from the very beginning, we're involved with the women. And we are joining their women's societies. They already have, and they're very successful with this. So once we are in with them, they've converted to Safigas, we convert them to Safigas, and we are involved in the day-to-day. The profits we'll make will actually be brought back to improve things like schools, Safigas experiences, awards even. And through this day-to-day, I guess that's our tracking. It's the day-to-day involvement. We are actually there with them, and we're providing Safigas, educating them on its use and benefits, they're uptaking it, and the money is being put back to them again. So it's just a cycle, and benefits to the farmers as well. So it's a whole value add to the stakeholders. Yeah.
I had a quick question about your unit cost and the volume assumptions that you're making. I think you said that you were assuming a 20% conversion rate, basically 20% of the market would shift over to hit your initial unit cost of 41 cents.
Yes.
Is that true? And so, what would be your unit cost if you had very slow and low conversion levels at first?
This was assuming, of course, that they just buy it once. So, for example, in the first year, if 200,000 households bought the product once, which is it's not logical, because you have to be a repeat customer. I mean, once energy lasts a certain period and it gets finished, you have to continue buying it. So we're basing it on a worst case scenario that they actually just buy it once. Yes.
But 20% of the market is shifting over and buying one?
That's because about 8 million users only are LPG, 3.5 million users are charcoal. So if you take 20%, kerosene users are
The total market size is about 17 million. The total market size is about 17 million people who potentially use either LPG, charcoal, or kerosene. Now we use 20% as a basic, just a basic assumption on the conversion rate and past history with new products. For example, in the LPG industry, because that's basically the direct substitute to what our product would be. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I was curious about your manufacturing facility and just the fundamentals of getting it started. And so I'm just kind of curious how you're thinking through that whole process, because it sounds like not only do you have to worry about distribution and marketing, but that's a whole piece in itself.
The solution to that was actually choosing actually selective companies that come up with really good solutions, a whole package of liquefier, biodigester, and even the purification chamber. So they give you this whole package that guarantees you a certain amount of yield per day. So once you get that, you're free and clear from any form of stress when it comes to production.
So for you then, the technology itself isn't proprietary, it's actually building the market behind the technology.
Yes. There are two options. You can either go internationally and get technology from abroad, which is there, or use applied technology, which is found in Kenya. Two options, different output.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.